Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com. This is a product review of the Oregon Blade Maker 10-inch large wheel for hollow grinds. Now this year I've tried to kind of improve my game a little bit. I got a new 2x72 grinder, and one of the things I was really looking forward to getting was a large wheel and trying out hollow grinds. So the first place I looked, I was so happy with the grinder I got from them, was Oregon Blade Maker, or OBM. And this site is OregonBladeMaker.com. I believe on page 4 of their products I found this 10-inch wheel, large wheel for hollow grinding. Really a nice wheel. It's balanced. It has sealed bearings. Of course, it's 2-inch wide, 10-inch diameter. It comes with the axle bolt end spacers. It's a 70 Durometer grooved big wheel. The grooves serve a couple of purposes. I was told that they constantly flex a little bit, exposing new grit on the paper, and they also help to keep the wheel cool when grinding. Now, in addition to the large wheel, I also, on the next page, on page 5, I bought their tooling arm. This is their standard tooling arm. It's 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches aircraft aluminum, about 20 inches long, but it comes pre-drilled and tapped, so it's just a no-brainer. The large wheel was $259. The arm was $35 and change. So basically you get the whole setup for just under $300. The bearing. Now setup is very easy. It's a 1/2 inch 13 thread tap on the or tapped holes on the tooling arm. The axle bolt comes with 3 nylon washers or spacers. I put 1 on the bolt side and 2 on the opposite side. That seemed to work out well for my setup. You just run the nut all the way up. You don't want to snug that up too tight so that the wheel doesn't spin freely on the bearing. And just basically turn the bolt in. And then you just tighten up or lock down that lock nut against the tooling arm so that the bolt itself won't ever vibrate free. So this is my 2x72 grinder. That is also new this year. Very, very happy with it. We paired it up with a 2 horsepower motor and variable speed. My friend Jason Northgard built a stand for it, so it's a self-standing grinder. Really does the job nicely. Installing the big wheel is basically as simple as pulling off the flat platen and sliding in the big wheel. Now, most people, or a lot of people, free grind their hollow grinds on the big wheel. I'm not one of them. Other people use a variety of different jigs, and tables, and tool rests, etc. It doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as the end result comes out good. What I'm doing is I'm just adjusting the idler arm or the tracking wheel, get the belt centered on the big wheel, and I'm just giving it a test run. Now I use a tilt table. Again, Jason Northgard made this up for me. It's his design. Kind of neat. I use this same tilt table for my flat bevels, and I'm going to try it now on this hollow grind. So I'm really just pushing this table in so that a small portion of that 10-inch wheel protrudes through a groove that's cut on the flat surface on the front of that tilt table. I'm not 100% sure that the angles are going to be right. This is kind of hit or miss for me. So what I did was I took a piece of wood. I took a center scribe and I scribed a line on the piece of wood that would be equivalent to the center line on one of my knife blanks. And then keeping that wood flat to the tilt table, just like I grind a knife, I ground down to that scribed line. And that's basically a very quick way of testing how wide my bevel is going to be. You know, how it's going to look on the finished product. Now, most knife projects or beveling projects start with scribing tracks, or scribing two center lines, one from each side of the blade, leaving you railroad tracks on the blade itself. And basically, you're gonna grind each side very accurately as possible, down to those marks without going over them. That's what's going to keep that bevel line even on both sides and the same width. So this is my first shot at using this big wheel. What I'm doing is I'm just grinding these bevels just like I would flat bevels on the same jig. I'm holding this knife blank. This is a 3/16 high carbon steel knife blank that was water jet cut for me. And I'm just holding that nice and flat against the tilt table, and then I slowly push upward into the wheel. Now I'm keeping the RPMs a little bit lower than normal. I also don't have a real rough grit paper on the wheel. You know, normally when I do bevels, flat bevels, you know, I'll start with a 36 or 24 grit paper and really move a lot of material very quickly. This is a learning curve for me. I wanted to start with something a little bit not as coarse. I went with a 60 grit paper, but it's a very worn 60 grit belt. And the reason for that is I almost wanted to be able to finish the bevel with it without moving the tilt table. So here I am from a different view. I'm just pushing that blade up into the wheel, into the belt, and then bringing it along to the right hand side, arcing down, and I'm just watching those scribed center lines. That's really the determining factor. And the beauty of this type of a table, of a work rest or a work table, is that you can go and hit any particular spot. So for example, that one spot on the blade is a little bit thicker, you know, it's a little bit more meat to take away than the rest. So I can spend a little bit more time there. I never really want to generate too much heat on these things. I just take off a little bit, go back and take a look at that scribe line, see where I have to grind a little bit more, and then I can focus on that particular area. Now, I've tried not to use this light for the video because it kind of ruins the quality of the video. But I have old eyes. I need the light in order to see those scribe lines. So the bevel on one side really came out nice. And duplicating that on the other side is very simple. You have a visual reference when you're grinding edge up so that you can see the plunge mark on one side and just line it up on the other. And then again, I'm just watching those scribe lines. As long as I don't grind past those lines, I know that the bevel on one side is going to match up with the bevel on the other as far as width goes. And I think that as I become more comfortable with this big wheel, I probably will start with a coarser grit, and then you know, as I get closer to those lines, I'll probably switch over and just polish, you know, with a finer grit, like I would normally do on a flat platen. So these are the bevels, basically done. I've moved now onto a Scotch-Brite type of 2x72 belt. It's basically just a nylon polishing belt from McMaster Carr. First time I'm using this one also, and I was actually very happy with it. It did a really nice job. Just made 2 passes on each side, and it just polished a lot of those rough grinding marks from that 60 grit belt. Now I didn't want to take these bevels to a mirror polish. I like to see some of the grind marks in there, just for the texture. But this nylon belt worked pretty well. Give a quick polish to the other side. And really, in a matter of 10 minutes, I've got, hollow ground bevels on both sides of the blade, basically ready for heat treating. Very, very happy. Again, this is a 10-inch large wheel from Oregon Blade Maker. It's mounted on an Oregon Blade Maker 2x72 disc grinder or belt sander, and I'm very pleased with the results. The whole setup with the big wheel, with the bolt axle, and the tooling arm, under $300. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. By all means, check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Check out our other knife making videos. And I'd also like to invite you to our Facebook group, Knives and Knife Making. You can just go to Facebook and search for Knives and Knife Making, and by all means, post images of your own creations. Thank you very much.